Well, good evening everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of the Wandering Gnocchi Cheese Cafe. Although, I'm starting to think that if I was to rename this properly, it would have to become the Wandering Gnocchi Pizza Cafe. Only because I think I've done so many pizzas on this channel that it's almost become a running gag and a running theme for myself. But hey, there is no such thing as too much of a good thing, right? I mean, pizza's all around awesome for everyone. It's like one of the top 5 meals of everyone, right? Will you agree with me? Okay, yeah. So yeah, before we start having the pizza debate, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and give this video a thumbs up before you even see what the hell I'm doing, because it's always appreciated. Now, as you saw, I was putting together a pizza because it's like one of the greatest inventions since sliced bread. Sliced bread has been invented like, I guess the day before, so we're kind of playing catch up with everything. But I did have an idea for something else I wanted to put together for us. If you remember my pierogi video, in fact you could always look in the top right corner too if you want to see me make that from start to finish, you do recall I had a little bit of a process for putting together the dough for that. And I was thinking to myself that I've been using that dough for a couple of other reasons in the past, for like doing flatsies, doing whatever, and I want to put together that just for my own amusement and to do a little experiment today. So if we want to go back to that video without having to click the link, I do have a brew that I want to try that'll make you say, "Great Scott!" Yeah, in case you don't know where I'm going with that, there's one that I found that's actually perfect for all of you Back to the Future fans out there. Get a load of this, people? I present to you from the Pixel Brewer in Ushlag of all places, the McFly IPA. Take note of the DeLorean, take note of the font. This is clearly a love letter to the Back to the Future film series, which is all around awesome, because I love those movies. I loved them when I was a kid, but I love them even more now that I'm older, that I can get a lot of the little jokes and the nuances. So it's all around awesome. So what is my goal? I'm hoping if I drink this, that I'll be able to master the art of time travel here, and then I'll be able to go back to that video from when I was doing the pierogi dough. On a base level, if you're to take that even further, then there's going to be another level of that. I guess the intent of this would be, how am I supposed to put this? I guess the intent is to gain a clearer perspective of humanity. Where we've been, where we're going, the pitfalls and the possibilities, the perils and a promise. Perhaps even that answer that universal question. Why? Oh. I was channeling my inner Doc Brown for a second. But yeah, I'm hoping that this thing will let me travel through time. Hang on a second. I think before I can even think about the art of time travel, there's one element I'm forgetting about. The flux capacitor. That's what you kind of need to be able to do that. If I remember correctly, the flux capacitor was technically invented... Okay, the movie's coming back to me. If you excuse me, people, I'm gonna go butt my head on the toilet right now. I'll be back. Ow! Okay, delicious. I think I've come to a truth now. Instead of trying to master the art of time travel to go back to my previous video on doing pierogi dough, it might actually be just easier to do the process from start to finish once again. That way I don't have to worry about giving myself a concussion for no reason. So give me some time to heal up, have this, and then we'll be right back, and then I'll show you the steps. Man, why would I want to hit my head on a toilet? Not a bad IPA. Pretty fruity, pretty unfiltered, but definitely doesn't help you time travel at all. I still haven't mastered that skill. And I guess the other thing I realized I was missing was a DeLorean. because that's what you kind of need if you want to go full on Back to the Future. And truth be told, if you really want to get a DeLorean, you're going to pay an arm and a leg for that. Because I know years ago I saw one actually for sale at the car lot that's right by my house. Problem is that it costs like maybe a good 20,000 upwards of that. And consider there's like less than 1,000 that were already in production and possibly even in circulation, you know, people are going to pay crazy amounts of money for that. So anyways, all this to say that it's probably not worth going back in time. I may as well just show you my process of pierogi dough right off the bat. So in your food processor, what I did was I put in 2 cups of flour to be able to work this in. And the rest of your ingredients, well, it all depends what kind of recipes you're following from your families. I'm following my family recipe, so I'm just gonna stick with that. In the processor, you take your salt shaker, and then you just give 2 small shakes of it too, mostly for flavoring. Then, afterwards you need a little bit of baking powder. Very little, like I would say 1 teaspoon worth. Put that in here, and you have all of your dry ingredients. So your next step would be having something to bond it all together. So really, depending on who you're talking to, you might use some egg, you might use some milk, you might even use like water. I'm going to be using water. So unlike my pizza dough also, I decided that I'm not going to go for exact measurements. I'm just going to go by feeling. You basically just have to pour this in until it bonds together. And you'll know it's bonded together well because everything that's in this, it's shown as a little bit of a powder, but then when it bonds well and it's just the right consistency, it's going to mix up and it'll become a giant ball of dough. And you don't want to overdo this also. You just want to keep pouring a little bit, let it stir, repeat, and then you'll be able to see the change. So we're going to be doing that. Oh yeah, just a reminder. You want to make sure you have warm water, not boiling water. Boiling water is just going to disintegrate everything for you. So we'll turn it on, start mixing it. And yeah, once again, if you're working with a food processor, this could get loud. Yep, I have a really watery consistency, but the beauty of this is that if you do mess it up, it's actually very easy to correct. If it's too watery, you add a little bit of flour. If it's too hard, add some water and mix it. I'm gonna do this, and hopefully this does the trick to make it into a nice ball of dough. Hopefully. There we are. Some magical spirit have brought this all to my table. I'm guessing I believe in the paranormal, I believe in the supernatural, and I believe in the superliminal. You know, kind of like someone would yell out the window, "Hey you, join the Navy!" And I decided to join the Navy right away. Anyways, bad joke aside, just like with my pierogi dough, I have a plate here, I've got my pile of flour, I've got my dough. Next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sprinkling a little bit of flour onto the plate. Why? Well, if you're asking me why, then clearly you've never worked with dough before. Because the idea is whenever you mix your dough together in this thing, yeah, it's going to have a bit of a very sticky, very wet texture. So what you do is when you have this in flour, it's actually going to reduce that a lot. So you just have to roll it around like this. And then eventually when it bonds with the flour pretty well, then it gives it a very easy texture to work with. Now, you might be asking me, what am I doing with this again? Actually, I don't even think I talked about this earlier. I thought I'd just take some pieces of dough, break it apart, roll it in flour, make it into little balls, and then I'll be able to do like a makeshift homemade gnocchi. I know it's not the same thing as like most gnocchis you get in the store, because technically to do that dough, you would have to do like maybe mix it up with a bit of egg. Sometimes you might have to mix it with a bit of potato as well. But the one recipe I did find says that you should probably boil your potatoes and then put it through a potato ricer. I would ask myself like what the fuck is a potato ricer? And even then, is it something I would use a lot to justify buying? Probably not. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be doing something simple. And truth be told, it's actually not that hard or that unusual to do. And yes, if you're thinking of the Tom Jones song right now, you're welcome. That's what I do best. But actually, the trick to this is whenever you're doing your pierogi dough, or pierogi if you're Polish, because I've been using that word a lot these days for a number of reasons, what you would do is whenever you're making them, you would probably have a lot of cutoffs, flat pieces that you would be reusing, and then you do what we call flatsies. And that's just really a fancy word to say that you're taking the leftover dough and then you're going to be cooking it too in addition to the pierogies. Another easy way to get the job done as well. So that's actually what I'm going to be doing here. I'm just going to be taking my batches of dough, splitting up into smaller balls, because some people like big balls, but you know, we're not all the same, are we? There we are. You want to make sure that whenever you split these up, you go back into the flour once again, because you don't want this to be super sticky for nothing. And I'm just going to keep doing this until the whole batch of dough is done. The good news is, unlike with pierogies, you don't have to keep making dough again and again and again until you're all out of filling, because I got no filling. I just want to do one batch of this, then start preparing it for cooking. And it reminds me, I have a pizza dough that should be ready to go too. So hopefully that will be ready as well. Alright, so I finished up working up all the dough over here. Delicious stuff. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this aside for a little bit later. I'm going to get some water ready to start boiling this up, and oh yeah, I forgot, I have some pizza dough. It's waiting to be prepared over here. So I'm just going to clean all this stuff up and then I'll be right back very shortly. So, pepperoni's been laid out. Same thing for the cheese. Next thing I'm going to be doing is just slicing up a few mushrooms, because I do want to make this as an all-dressed pizza. Just in case you need a recap, an all-dressed pizza is mostly going to be with a mushroom and some sliced green peppers. I'm sure you could put, like, I don't know, red pepper or anything else and then call it all-dressed, but it won't be the typical classic all-dressed. I guess you could just call it like a BS all-dressed in that case. Yeah, that's something I'm going to have to explain to people one day. There. Mushrooms are sliced up. Going to lay them on top. Then I'm going to get going on the green pepper too. But I should probably preheat the oven so that it's going to be ready to cook. Pizza is all set. It's gonna be legit all dressed, not BS all dressed. Once this thing gets to 425, I'm gonna shove it in, put it for 18 minutes, and then we just have to wait until it's all cooked up. And then for the second part, for my mock gnocchi, or flatsies, or whatever you wanna call it, I've got one large saucepan filled with water that I'm gonna put in with a bit of salt. I'm gonna start boiling that. And then what I'm gonna do, once the pizza is in, is I'm gonna also get a frying pan set up and then cook it, depending on how you would do it though. If it was pierogies, you could do it in butter easily, but in my case, I want to use some olive oil for myself. However, because I want to be amusing to everyone and involve all of you, I'm going to let you choose my olive oil. How do you choose olive oil? Well, we'll get to that in a second. Stay tuned. Alright, so the pizza's in the oven now, so it's time to choose our oil for the makeshift gnocchi over here. So in case you're wondering, like, what the heck do you mean by choose your olive oil? Well, it's because I actually got a little bit of a gift basket from my aunt, so kudos to her for giving me all this stuff. And it's not just plain olive oil, this is all flavored stuff. What we got over here is one of the following four. We got some garlic olive oil, just in case you need some kind of repellent to keep the vampires away from you, despite the fact that we're past Halloween. Then there's chili pepper, for anyone who wants a little bit of a kick. And I'm not talking about a kick in excess style. Third one is rosemary. One of the four ingredients to go to Scarborough Fair, if you're a Simon and Garfunkel fan. Good stuff, but you know what? Rosemary is not my pick. That would depend on your preferences. Me personally, I would think that thyme is where it's all at. And then lastly, some basil. Basil flavored olive oil. You really can't go wrong with this, especially if you want to do a pesto. So everyone, I want you to take a look at your screens right now and then make your selection right now. You can choose either chili pepper, garlic, rosemary, or basil, and then let me know in the comment section, and I'll make the judgment afterwards. And wait, what's that? Oh, almost forgot. This isn't a game show. This is just a YouTube video. There's nothing interactive about it. Well, good intentions, I kind of went down the crapper again. Whatever the case, you know what? I've had these for about a week, and the only one that I haven't opened up is surprisingly the garlic one. So I think this is the one I'm gonna cook my gnocchi in. Let's get some garlic in this son of a bitch. It's gonna be lovely. There we are. So I'm going to be getting my water all set to boil up. I've got my oil lined up into the pan. So all you really have to do is let this boil, throw the gnocchi in once it starts to boil, and then you take it out to fry it up once it's all set. And you're going to know this is all set once, if you throw the pieces of dough into here and it floats to the top, that means it's all cooked up. Throw in the oil, get the garlic and the greased up taste, and then you're good. And I still got like maybe about a good 12 minutes until my pizza is all set with my peppers and my mushroom. Because you know what? We all need some kind of vegetables in our life. They're not bad for you. Well, I guess the only time they're really bad for you is, I don't know, you're some kind of a mutant frog or mutant toad that's trying to take care of over the dream world, and then your weakness is vegetables, so what's going to happen is like two plumbers, a walking mushroom, and a princess are going to just throw them in your mouth. And you're going to feel poisoned, decide you're giving up, and think, fuck that, I'm not doing this anymore. You know what? When you take video game plots, put it that way, it sounds pretty crazy to do. I'm not the expert here. Alright, things are starting to heat up, but it's going to take a little while before it's all boiled. there we are. I got all my makeshift gnocchi all prepared. The pizza's all set. Time to get it all out of the oven. Ooh, yes. So, here we go, everyone. You don't need to go to a pizzeria to get pizzeria quality pizza, because you can make it easily at home. It's time to serve this all up. I got my gnocchi set, and then we're going to do the taste test immediately afterwards. I'm definitely stoked for this, as usual. Well, almost came up with a bust over here because when I was trying to slice up my pizza, for some reason, everything on the cheese was starting to become so watery that I'm trying to lift it up. Dough's fine, but it's all starting to fall apart. It's like, yeah, this is kind of a struggle for me to do. You know, it is what it is, but it's kind of annoying. It's like a kick in the nuts. But I suppose when it comes to cheese, peppers, and pizza stuff, you gotta catch them all. Oh, no, I'm not talking about Pokemon at all. God. I'm starting to think back to something else that happened back when I was working at an old store. This was around the time that Pokemon Go was released. And I remember that we were walking around doing our stuff, blah, blah, blah. Customers are coming in. We try to ask if they need help with anything. They didn't really need help. They just walked in because they saw in their version of Pokemon Go that it was a Pikachu that was in our store. They wanted to catch it. Because obviously, we had Justin Bieber, we had Justin Timberlake, we had out of all the new releases, but didn't care for that. Just, I got my Pikachu here and I want it. Yeah, that was kind of annoying for us. Oh yeah. So, you know something? The garlic olive oil is pretty awesome because it tastes like garlic without being overpowering. So if you're not like me that you like a very strong garlic taste, this is for you because you get the flavor without the over-potentness of it. And I'm not going to taste my pizza in front of you because I think you've seen me eat pizza countless times. In the oven, on the barbecue, with a red sauce, with a white sauce. I've done it all. But still. Okay, so you're watching me taste it after all.